Hey everyone, thanks for stopping in. Let's see what we have going on here today. I've had some new additions come in. So here's a 261 that won't start, a 170 with a bar and chain issue, a 170 that won't shut off, a 271 with a clutch issue. What do we have here? A Cub Cadet leaf blower that won't start, and an FS38 with a bunch of pieces. Oh, yes. Let's go to the front of the line and start with this 261. I'll meet you over at the workbench. Hi there, welcome back to my workbench. Today on the bench we have this Stihl MS261. This is a professional 50cc chainsaw. I sold this saw brand new 18 months ago, so technically it's still under factory warranty. The customer says that it won't start and that it's very hard to pull over. So I plugged this saw in. This is an M-tronic saw, so it has a little brain in it. So I plugged it into my computer to get data. And it tells me this saw has 21 hours of runtime and that it's been successfully started 218 times. So when a saw comes in still under warranty with an issue, it then becomes my job to determine if this saw has a defect or if this is user error. In my experience, most manufacturing defects present themselves pretty quickly, usually within the first few weeks of ownership. This saw has been out in the field for 18 months, but we're going to now find out what exactly is going on with this and whose fault it is. So the customer said that it's really hard to start and hard to pull over. So this saw, the 261, has a decompression valve to make it easier to pull over. And it's pushed in. There's definitely something wrong here. We're going to start and just do a quick external walk around in the saw before we go too far into this. So first thing I notice, we have some extra large felling spikes on here. These are from West Coast saws. Razor sharp chain. I do see quite a bit of fine dust on the saw, which is usually from a dull chain, but this chain is definitely not dull. I have seen 500 I's and 462s fried from cutting in the heat of summer with dull chains. Cutting with a dull chain is a recipe for disaster. This here is just a homemade device the owner has on this for measuring his cuts instead of carrying a measuring tape around. I don't see a whole lot of them around here, but the odd guy has that on his saw. That is just a couple zip ties with orange tape on it for markings. So if I extend this out, and I measured this, he's 20 inches from the tip of the zip tie to his bar. So where do we start here? I think the first thing we'll do is we'll dump his fuel out and have a look at it. There seems to be a lot of watery fuel going around these days. A few videos ago, I did a video on an MS261 that wouldn't start. If you've seen that video, you'll recognize that fuel sample. That's all water with a bit of fuel on top. I'm going to put this with my award-winning fuel samples so that we never forget. Let's dump the fuel out of this and have a peek. Full right to the top. So the fuel smells good. It looks good. I'm out of glass containers here, or I would pour this in for you, but I don't see any problem in that fuel sample. The tank is clean. I see no evidence of water. Okay, so I don't think we have a fuel issue here. Kind of a strange thing, but often when a saw comes in under warranty or within the warranty period, it's always full of fuel, like right to the lid. I'm going to put his fuel back in it, and then we're going to pull the bar and chain off this saw. Let's take the bar and chain off the saw. Oh, look at this. Do you see the problem here? So there's my chain sprocket back there. And the chain is wedged between the sprocket and the washer. This was tensioned so much that this created like a break almost in there. There's so much pressure on the crankshaft that you can't even pull the saw over. That's probably the only thing preventing the saw from pulling over. This isn't the first time I've seen this. I've seen this more times than you can imagine. Guys come in, there's something wrong with my saw. It's under warranty, it's brand new, something's wrong with it. Yeah, there's something wrong with it, all right. I had a young tech here once setting up brand new MS170s for the showroom. And he came over to me and he said, the last 4 saws I set up, not a single one of them will start. So I walked over to the workbench, and all 4 of them, the chain was not in the sprocket. It was wedged in there between the sprocket and the washer. And he was tensioning them. Tension. Why won't these things start? So it's a good practice when you put your bar and chain on. You've seen me do it where I roll the chain up and down the bar before you put your clutch cover back on. And then after you've put your clutch cover back on your saw, I always just make sure the chain is moving freely. It is easy to do this. So let's pull this bar and chain off the saw, set it on the table, and see if the saw will pull over for us. I suppose there could be something else wrong here, but I doubt it. I think this is our problem. Okay, bar and chain's off of it. Oh, there we go. So the rim sprocket looks fine. The washer, the clip is still there. Let's put the bar and chain back on the saw. I guess I'll break open a brand new pair of gloves. They even came with instructions on how to wear them. You can put a chain on backwards. You want to make sure that your cutters, which is at my finger right there, is pointing towards the bar tip. If you put it on backwards, it will not cut well. Give it a little turn. You can see it's on the rim sprocket. So putting the clutch cover back on, you've got to make sure your chain stays in the rim sprocket, stays in the rails, lining your bar studs up. And with this, 261s don't normally have this, but with this spike setup, you've also got this, or he's got this, to line up with the other spike. So there's a whole bunch of things that got to line up here for this to work out. We'll tighten the tension up on this. Once I have the tension where I want it, I'll finish tightening these down. And then you just verify that your chain is on that sprocket, moving freely. If that wouldn't move for me, I would have either something wrong under there, or if your chain was tensioned too tight, you wouldn't be able to move it either. That's what I want right there. If I tip the saw up on its side and look in under the clutch cover, you can see that the chain is on the sprocket properly. So I expect this saw will start up for us. I'll check the bar oil, make sure there's some in it, and we'll go over to the door and give it a start. Yep, lots of bar oil. Okay, so the MS261 pulls over and starts no problem. As you've seen, the problem with this was the chain was lodged between the rim sprocket and the washer. It happens. I've seen it more times than I can count. So after a short investigation, it's been determined that we do not have a warranty issue. So when you have a chainsaw that's still within the warranty period and something goes wrong, it's probably really easy to want to blame somebody else for the problem. I'll be honest, I see very few Stihl warranty claims. You've seen me do numerous saws now, and the stuff we see, the fuel problems, the maintenance problems, the air filters, today's problem, most stuff is not a saw defect. A few weeks ago, I did a video on a Stihl MS261 that had very low hours on it. Actually, I think I only had 20 minutes of runtime on it. And if you've seen that video, you've seen a true warranty issue. A good friend once told me there are 3 ways to learn a lesson in life: pain, embarrassment, or money. I think this guy's going to feel enough embarrassment from this that I'm not going to charge him any money. The guy who owns this is a fantastic customer. He doesn't push me. He doesn't give me guilt trips. He's wonderful. And if you're watching this, you're one of my favorites. You might be a bit embarrassed by this, but yeah, it happens. So before I let you go tonight, I'm going to tell you some stories of some unbelievable things that happened here this week. I won't be able to tell you all of them because I would keep you here all night, but I'll tell you just a couple good ones. We had a gentleman come into the showroom this week wanting some bar oil, but he wanted a mix of medium and heavy. We carry heavy, medium, and light, but he wanted a blend, which we don't have. So he said that he hated his life, hated people, and left with no bar oil. I don't know what's going on out there. Some strange behavior. Something else that happened here this week is we had a John Deere tractor come in, and the customer said the mower deck will not turn on. So we took the mower deck off for inspection, and underneath, wrapped around one of the spindles, we found, I don't know, someone's underwear, his dog's leash, thankfully not a dog, and a new way of hooking up a battery. I can't explain it, so I'll just show you a picture. I'm guessing he had his clothes out to hang and maybe his underwear just fell off the clothesline. What else happened this week? Oh, we had a push mower come in. Customer says it won't start. Flipped it over, found a running shoe wedged between the blade and the side of the deck. I called him and I said, "Are you missing a shoe?" And he said, "Yes, I am missing a shoe." And I said, "Well, it's underneath your mower deck." I know this shoe story sounds almost unbelievable, so I'll just attach a picture here for you to see. This is all real world stuff I'm telling you about. A lot of it sounds unbelievable, but I'm pretty sure every shop in the world sees stuff like this. You just maybe don't see it and hear about it. On one of my videos, the 271, with this fuel sample, somebody in the comments said, "Is this a prank?" This is not a prank. This is real world. So this coming weekend is Thanksgiving in Canada. We're going to take a few days off and we are going to go lawnmower racing. I'm going to try to catch some footage of that. Maybe some of you'd be interested in seeing that. Well, I have several saws over there waiting for me to work on them. Let's get to it. Thank you so much for watching.